What would you do if you found a fortune in a forgotten basement, only to realize it was never meant to be found? In the small, forgotten town of Black Hollow, where the wind carried whispers of the past, stood an old Victorian house, crumbling, eerie, and abandoned for decades. The townsfolk avoided it, speaking in hushed tones about the tragedies that had occurred within its walls. Some claimed it was haunted, others said it was cursed, but for 28-year-old struggling artist Daniel Mercer, the house was an opportunity. When the local bank auctioned it off for a mere $100, Daniel, desperate for a fresh start, took the risk. His friends called him crazy. His family warned him of bad omens. But Daniel, with his last $100 in hand, signed the papers. The moment he stepped inside, the floorboards groaned beneath his feet. Dust swirled in the dim light, and the air smelled of mildew and something else. Something metallic. And then he found the basement door. The basement was worse than he imagined: dark, damp, and filled with cobwebs. But as he swept his flashlight across the room, something glinted in the corner. A rusted metal box, half buried in the dirt. No! His heart pounded as he pried it open. Inside, wrapped in decaying cloth, were stacks of old stock certificates, yellowed, fragile, but unmistakably real. One name stood out: Black Hollow Mining Co. Daniel's hands trembled. He had heard stories about the town's lost gold mine, but no one had ever found it. Rushing to the local library, he dug through archives until he found it. Black Hollow Mining had struck gold in 1923, but the mine collapsed, burying its fortune. The company went bankrupt, but the shares were never canceled. And now, after nearly a century, those shares were his. A financial expert confirmed those certificates were still valid. The company had been absorbed by a larger corporation, and the shares were worth millions. Overnight, Daniel went from a broke artist to a multimillionaire. He paid off his debts, bought a penthouse in the city, and even donated to the crumbling town of Black Hollow. Reporters hounded him. Old friends reappeared. Women who had never glanced his way suddenly found him irresistible. But then, the letters started arriving. The first letter was slipped under his door. "You shouldn't have taken what wasn't yours." Daniel dismissed a jealous prank, he thought. But then came the second: "The fortune is cursed. Give it back." And then, the phone calls. A raspy voice whispering, "You'll regret it." Paranoia set in. He installed security cameras, hired bodyguards. But one night, as he slept, his penthouse alarm blared. The cameras showed nothing, just static. Then a shadow moved. Daniel hired a private investigator who uncovered a horrifying truth. The original owner of the house, a man named Elias Voss, had murdered his entire family in that basement before vanishing in 1924. The stock certificates, they were his. And according to town legend, Elias had made a deal with something unnatural. The investigator found an old journal in the house's attic. The last entry read, "The gold is tainted. It demands blood. I tried to bury it, but it always comes back." Daniel's blood ran cold. The nightmares began. Visions of a gaunt figure standing at the foot of his bed, whispering, "Mine." His money vanished from his accounts. His penthouse burned down under mysterious circumstances. Desperate, Daniel returned to Black Hollow, to the basement where it all began, and there, in the darkness, Elias Voss was waiting. The last thing Daniel heard was a raspy voice. The debt must be paid. Months later, the bank auctioned off the house again. This time, the listing read, *Abandoned Victorian, $100, sold as these, and somewhere in the shadows of the basement, a rusted metal box sat undisturbed, waiting for the next fool to open it. Would you have taken the money if you knew the price was your soul?